Much of what principals, vice principals, managers, and supervisors do is solve problems and make decisions. When you're new to the role, solving problems and making decisions can often be reactive in nature because you are under the gun and short on time. With this approach, it can be easy to become stuck in a circle of solving the same problem over and over again. Instead, become accustomed to using an organized approach to problem solving and decision making. Not every problem or decision will be solved using the following approach. However, these basic guidelines will help get you started. After practicing them a few times, you will find they become second nature to you, and you will be able to adapt and enrich them to suit your individual needs. First, you need to define the problem or the opportunity depending on how you look at things. You do this by asking yourself and others some questions like, what do you see that causes you to think there's a problem? Where is it happening? How is it happening? When is it happening? And why is it happening? You also need to ask with whom it is happening, while keeping in mind that when we are stressed, blaming is often one of our first reactions, so don't immediately jump to who is causing the problem. To be an effective manager, supervisor, or administrator, you need to address issues more than people. After asking yourself and others these questions, you can now write a 5-sentence description of the problem in terms of the following should be happening but isn't, or the following is happening and should be. As much as possible, be specific in your description, including what is happening, where, how, with whom, and why. Once you've done your problem analysis, in order to ensure you fully understand the problem, it always helps a great deal to verify your problem analysis by conferring with a peer or someone else. If you now discover that you are looking at several related problems, then prioritize which ones you should address first. It is amazing how much you don't know about what you don't know. Therefore, in this next step, it is critical to get input from other people who notice the problem and who are affected by it. It is often useful to collect input from other individuals one at a time, at least at first. Otherwise, people tend to be inhibited about offering their impressions of the real causes of problems. It is now time to write down your opinions regarding the problem and what you have heard from others. If it involves what you think might be a performance problem with an employee, it is useful to seek advice from a peer or your supervisor in order to verify your impression of the problem. Once you've done these things, write down a description of the cause of the problem in terms of what is happening, where, when, how, with whom, and why. Once you've identified the problem and you've got a good handle on what's causing it, it's now time to identify potential approaches for solving it. At this point, it's useful to keep others involved unless you are restricted by confidentiality, because it's time to brainstorm for solutions to the problem. Brainstorming is a method of collecting as many ideas as possible, then screening them to find the best idea. It is critical when collecting ideas to not pass any judgment on them, just write them down as you hear them. Then you take a look at all the potential approaches to resolve the problem while considering which approach is the most likely to solve the problem for the long term, which approach is the most realistic to accomplish for now, what is the extent of the risk associated with each of the alternatives. Do you have enough time to implement what you are thinking? Are the approaches affordable? Do you have the resources you will need? Once you have decided on the best approach, it is time to develop your action plan. Carefully consider things like, what will the situation look like when the problem is solved? What steps should be taken to implement the best alternative to solving the problem? How will you know if the steps are being followed or not? What resources will you need in terms of people, money, and facilities? How much time will you need to implement the solution? Once you write down the answers to these questions, you have an action plan and can then communicate your plan to those who will be involved in implementing it. It will now require you to continually monitor the indicators of success within your plan. Are you seeing what you would expect from the indicators? Will the plan be done according to schedule? And if not, you need to ask yourself what aspects of the plan need to be changed. And finally, review the outcome of your solution. Did it achieve what you set out for it to achieve? Has the original problem been solved? Then ask yourself what changes should be made to avoid this type of problem in the future. Do we need to update our procedures? Is additional training required? Etc. Then ask yourself, what did I learn from this problem solving? And consider new knowledge, new understanding, and new skills that you might have acquired as a result. And remember, with every problem, there lies opportunity.